Okay, people, so it seems as though the Boruto franchise is making a major comeback, and I'm sure a lot of people are questioning, like, yo, what do you mean by that? A major comeback? Boruto hasn't been making any type of waves in so long, ever since they removed this character from the series, that character from the series. It ain't happening, bro. What are you talking about? Because y'all already know Boruto franchise has had major amounts of criticism, major amounts of backlash, and ultimately a lot of naysayers saying that it can't be done. The series can't go up after it already had a massive loss in terms of the readership slowly but steadily decreasing over the course of the Naruto Next Generation portion of the manga. However, it seems as though Two Blue Vortex, yeah, it's making people look a little bit differently at the franchise, because it seems as though things is going up, and we're gonna talk about what exactly I mean by that based off of this new news that just came through. We also have words circulating from some of the Western staff of One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen in terms of some things that people have been doing as a whole, and that kind of the staff is a little bit tired of. Also, some of the My Hero Academia staff as well had some of these things happen. We got a few other things we're going to talk about in this one. So yeah, get your popcorn ready and let's jump into another exciting episode of Forever News. Yeah, I'm really enjoying sticking with that one. It might be back, people. I don't know. Okay, so in case you missed the quadrillion times that I've spoke on the Boruto franchise, the state of the Boruto franchise, the course of the Boruto franchise, then let me quickly bring you up to speed. Naruto, yay! Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, and now insert Two Blue Vortex Boruto, yay! And what all that means is the fact that it seems as though there is a major turnaround, a major quote-unquote comeback that is happening with the Boruto Two Blue Vortex series as a franchise as a whole, with the success and the support. And I love to report on this story for several different reasons. Obviously, I love the Naruto franchise as a whole, so ultimately, I still love to see outside of inverse of the story in terms of the fact that it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare. While a lot of other series, they come out, they blow up very quickly. By a few volumes, they're already, millions sold and everybody is going crazy about it. Boruto has had a very different type of tale. It's basically like the son that came in and was very successful, and very much so, with money in the pocket, so to speak, based off of, his father's work or whatnot. And then slowly but steadily, you've seen over the course of Naruto Next Generations manga portion of the story that, yeah, Boruto, whether it be in canon or also within the outside real world, sales success kind of slid downhill. The sales wasn't up like it was with Naruto, and slowly but surely, each and every volume passing, sales kind of declined, so to speak. However, it seems as though when it comes to this new iteration of Boruto, it seems as though ever since basically homie was like, yo bro, Ikemoto and Kishimoto sat together and was like, nah fam, we ain't going out like that, not our franchise, not our series, dog, that's not happening, and ultimately decided to do this Two Blue Vortex stuff. Things have been looking up. And of course, before we continue, if you would hit that subscribe button and that bell so you can get notified whenever I release new videos on the platform, I'd greatly appreciate it, and you'd get notified. Let's do this thing. Alone, once Two Blue Vortex started with the very first volume that released, sales started to slowly but surely go up, and with each and every volume, it seems as though that has been the case, that sales is actually incrementally going up. It's not like a massive Demon Slayer level boom or Jujutsu Kaisen level boom, but it has been steadily going on the incline in terms of success with each and every volume. And yet again, with what just went down, it's a demonstration of the tortoise and the hare. Sometimes having that immediate success, that immediate boom, is just going to ultimately lead to a decline. But if you slowly, steadily continue on, you don't give up, you can see the fruits of your labor, and they can be very much so worth it. Because sales for the first week of the latest volume of Boruto Two Blue Vortex Volume 4 have come in, and it seems as though this is pretty much the biggest first week sales for the Boruto manga since 3 years now. In 3 years, it hasn't had a level of success that this volume has brought forth, whether it be Boruto Naruto Next Generations or the Two Blue Vortex for that matter. This volume has the highest first week sales thus far, because first week sales for Boruto Volume 4 of Two Blue Vortex is at 59,283, giving it, I want to say, one of the highest positions the manga has ever debuted on the charts, because on the top 50 best-selling manga manga of the week charts, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex debut at number 3, only behind two pretty big Goliaths, and that is the Slime series, Tensei Shitara Slime Data Ken, with, you know, they did like 82,000 first week, and then World Trigger is just, it drops once in a while, so fans really flock and go crazy. That did 238,000. So Boruto debut, a very solid start for this volume, with at number 3, 59,000, nearly 60,000 sold. And then adding in the extra sales from the other volumes of 2 Blue Vortex, it is at like 62, almost 63,000 volumes sold. So pretty much volume 4 got some people to go and buy a few thousand copies of the other volumes as well, which means that yet again, promotional wise, this is a success. And also again, the franchise hasn't seen anything like this in quite some time. To put it into perspective, volume 3 did 55,890 copies, so about 4,000 less. Volume 2 did 42,395, and volume 1 did 31,000. Now granted, I want to say that volumes 1 and 2 had less of a tracking of the amount of days, so it's a little unfair to compare there, because I think they did like 3 days and then the next update was like 2 weeks or something like that, or 10 days, something in that ballpark. So it's a little bit of an unfair comparison, but nevertheless, at the very least, from the last volume to this volume, it has gone up yet again. And again, it hasn't seen sales like that in damn near 3 years. So that is a major level of success for the franchise, a major win, and ultimately just a demonstration that if you keep on giving your best foot forward and keep on putting in that work, you can ultimately achieve anything you want. It's not the crazy sales that I'm sure people would be like, it's supposed to sell 1 million first week or something astronomical, but especially considering the era we're in right now, where it seems as though digital sales have really been knocking down the physical sales. Like a few years ago, we would be seeing everything in the top 10 down to number 10 would be 70, 80, 90,000 copies, all the way up to number 1 doing within 500,000, something crazy. And now we're in an era where if you just take a look at the latest top 50 best-selling manga of the week that includes this volume, sales aren't the greatest for most stuff. Like outside of the top 3, you know, down to the number 10 slot is at 31,000. So manga isn't selling as crazy as it used to either. So to still have such a strong support, so much so that is rivaling stuff that Boruto did 3 years ago, where it technically had a little bit more still support with the anime rolling around, that is huge, that is major, and it only just makes me question, and I'm sure a lot of the Boruto fandom wonder, like, yo, when the anime does return, if they do it right, if Studio Pierrot can execute the same way they did for the Bleach Thousand Year Blood War anime, what can happen? What can transpire? Will sales skyrocket? Will back volumes go? And will people be taking another look at Boruto and being like, okay, you know, especially if they do it seasonally like Thousand Year Blood War, maybe fans will be like, it's time to give Boruto a true test, a true shake, and really give the story just a true chance at, like, let's see what this thing is all about that, you know, people hated on for so long. But big ups to Boruto, a big win right there with the sales, and in general, yeah, it seems as though the Boruto comeback is looking strong, steady, and the way I like to see things is that you don't gotta rush to get to where you're trying to go. If you give it your all and go at your own pace, you can win. Then on another note, it seems as though the One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen staff, amongst other staff that handle things in the West for these IP, whether it be translators and people in general that just work on stuff on the Western side of things for some Shonen Jump manga, it seems as though a lot of the online chatter, whether it be the harassment sometimes they receive, the hate sometimes that they receive, hate mail and things like that, has really bubbled up and boiled to a point where they finally were like, yo, we gotta address this thing. Because, you know, I reported it on many different occasions throughout the years of like, fam, people, they go overboard with the amount of, you know, hatred that they, you know, spew towards the creators when things go into a certain way, whether it be that the translation isn't the best. It's like, hey, the unofficial translation said it way cooler sounding, so that's better. What are you doing? And, you know, some people, they'll take it overboard. I've seen with so many different scenarios that the anime and manga fandom in general, certain pockets of it at the very least, can be very disgusting and toxic. You know, there's no secret that there is a level of toxicity pretty much in any community. It's not only just anime and manga. Almost any community you can have a look in, there's going to be the people that they're chill, they're enjoying theirs, they're doing their thing, and then there's going to be the extremist that is like, come on, dog. Like, even if you feel those feelings, to go out there and be sending nasty messages and nasty emails and all sorts of stuff to the translators and things like that, it's just wrong. But let's take a look, let's read what was said, and we'll go from there, because It's kind of crazy. Passion can cross the line. Jujutsu Kaisen and One Piece staff discuss online hate. To say there can be some toxicity within the anime and manga community might be a bit of an understatement. Yes, sir. For every fan who adores and appreciates what they're reading and watching, there's someone who takes their displeasure with creative choices, character designs, artwork, or dialogue too far, attempting to contact the team behind it with malicious messages. This is especially true with major series like One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen, and some veteran manga translators have recently opened up about the backlash they often unfairly receive because of their work. And just quickly on a side note, like, it's not only towards, these translators and things like that. I've seen throughout the years, whether it be Kubo got death threats because of what happened to Byakuya and the Bleach Styles Near Blood War, Kishimoto getting massive hate towards the end because of the pairings of who he put together in the end of Naruto. Like, I've seen a lot of what fans can really do, burning books and all sorts of stuff when they get upset, and it's like, bruh, what we doing here, dog? Like, relax. During an interview with Gizmodo, veteran manga letterers Stephen Paul, One Piece, David Evelyn, Undead Unluck, and Casey Lowe, Spy Family, discussed their work and the misconceptions fans have about how manga translating actually works. Fans think it's just like one shadowy person pulling the strings and making sure they don't have a good time. David Evelyn said of the misconceptions about their jobs, most people don't even know that there's a translation team working on something. I gotta imagine, especially with the Japanese behind, they probably have officials from Japan to double check the work of things before it goes out. It's not just like one dude in his basement like, yeah bro, this is how it's gonna work. Like, there's teams for this thing. Yeah. Several manga translators have been bullied off social media. It definitely happens more with combat and big shonen series, Stephen Paul said, as well as translating One Piece. Paul also works on the English translations for Akane Banashi and Villain Saga. His work on Akane Banashi could not be more different from One Piece, Paul revealed, partly due to the lack of scanlations for Akane Banashi, but also because that show's fan base isn't caught up arguing over stuff. That's another thing. The fact that there are fan translations, the official translations sometimes catch heat. Again, like I said earlier, because, yo, the character said it this way, and I loved it when I read the unofficial, so when I check out the official, it's almost like they get an instant nostalgia attachment. And even sometimes if the dialogue does sound a little more accurate or just a little more cooler or whatever the case may be, you can feel that. You're totally 110% allowed to feel how you're gonna feel. Feel those feelings. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to morph those feelings into venom and attacking people. Like, what are we doing here? Anime and manga is meant to be enjoyed, entertained, whether it be also you could get some enlightenment from it, life lessons you can get from these things. It's not supposed to make you feel like, you just want to attack people and be a bad person. It's a different type of series, so it doesn't necessarily engender that kind of argument, Paul continued. I would say passion, but passion can cross the line. Argument is definitely more prevalent for big battle series for sure. David Evelyn agreed and revealed how the intense backlash from fans can stop translators who are also major fans of the series from interacting with the fan base. It's very unfair, Paul said. Some translators want to interact with the community and show trivia and language choices, and it will immediately get dunked on by majority of people. In the past, this has led several manga translators to step away from social media due to intense backlash from fans. Stephen Paul recalled My Hero Academia's translator, Caleb Cook, I remember that one, that was wow, who once frequently interacted with fans of the series but had to stop after online harassment became too much. Cook used to talk about all his choices on Twitter for every chapter, Paul said, and then people had disagreements about stuff and they would bother him. Eventually he just got sick of it, locked his account, and moved on. And I will say 100,000 trillion%, that's why a lot of creators maneuver differently and really just like keep to themselves. Even Jujutsu Kaisen's voice cast piled onto the translation hate. It's one thing for fans to unfairly pile onto manga translators, but it's even worse when the English voice cast of the anime adaptations joins in. This is what happened to John Worry, the longtime translator of Jujutsu Kaisen. Worry was reportedly the target of online hate from fans, but Adam MacArthur, who voices Yuji Itadori in the show's English dub, piled on in 2024, sharing a meme that took shots at Worry's translation. Ironically, he spelled Worry's surname wrong. We all in this together, dog. We're not supposed to be fighting each other. We're supposed to be winning together. Why would you take shots at somebody, especially, what I'm saying, y'all on the same team, dog? And by no means am I saying that to stir the pot or attack or anything. I'm just being honest. And don't get me wrong, sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes people say things out of term and not realize the impact. And especially like, yo, if there's like 50,000 people attacking that person and you're one extra voice that is supposed to be supporting, kind of adding on to that, it can hurt and mess up a person's day. We got to do better. It broke my heart because MacArthur didn't have to do that, Evelyn commented on the incident. attention, what are you going to gain from that aside from a few thousand likes on Twitter? We're only a single person. We can only do so much. The solution should be simple: for manga readers to better educate themselves on how the industry actually works, and to understand that the online profiles they're anonymously attacking online are all run by real people. Unfortunately, asking the internet to be a kinder place is as futile as expecting a good Junji Ito anime adaptation. Well, isn't that also slinging hate? I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, honestly, as a whole, the industry, whether it be, you know, the creatives, the critics, everybody just kind of need to stick together a little bit more. I think the slinging mud at each other and kind of having hostility and whatnot definitely needs to go away, because it's just not cool. And in general, the fans need to understand that people are doing their best. Nobody is intentionally there like, yo dog, I need to hurt people. Sometimes, you know, ultimately that's just the way that when they're translating things, they feel it should be said. And not to mention that there's a big team around it that makes sure that that's the, you know, idea that they want to go with. But yeah, shout out to all the people that work on these things. Much love and respect to everybody and their choices. And at the end of the day, enjoy your stuff. And then just one more story to close things out that I thought was a little bit interesting. In case you don't know, Dragon Ball has had a thing called Dragon Ball Heroes that has been going on in Japan for quite some time. It has inspired tons of animation episodes, all sorts of different things. It was essentially a card game that kind of like they had arcade machines and all sorts of different things, and it's been wildly successful in Japan for many a years. And recently they decided to kind of retire it and kind of reinvent it, so to speak, with a new card game with arcade machines called Dragon Ball Divers. I got to imagine that was a way to not only sell new, you know, machines, new arcade machines, but also be able to, you know, redo the card game. But I think it still was technically connected to Dragon Ball Heroes. Regardless, this was supposed to be the next phase of Dragon Ball Heroes, so to speak, with Dragon Ball Divers. However, it seems as though the spin-off is not taking off like initially they had thought. Reportedly, news is arriving from Japan that Dragon Ball Super Divers isn't hitting the same heights of success as its predecessor. Various arcades in East are seemingly discontinuing the purchase of the unique arcade cabinets while also selling machines to patrons. The official statement that one arcade has shared read such as of Sunday, February 16th, we will be discontinuing the purchase of the aforementioned title. And in case you don't know, Dragon Ball Super Divers first arrived in November of last year. So like, this is just a brand new thing. So if they're selling off these arcade machines, because I guess in Japan arcades are still a thing, which that was something of an era, man, the arcade machine era. But regardless of what, if they're getting rid of that this soon, we're only in February. That's only a few months out of its debut. It seems as though the continuation, so to speak, Dragon Ball Heroes is not looking good. And I got to imagine that either they're going to kind of backtrack a bit and go into the Heroes aspect, or try something totally different, because Dragon Ball Heroes, again, has been going on for a very long time, made a ton of anime to promote it and all sorts of different things. They're going to probably have to figure something else out, because that is a giant market. It has gone on for a very long time. And yeah, this doesn't sound great for, you know, the arcade game, so to speak, in Japan for Dragon Ball. Yeah, that's all I have for this one. I'm Tim. As always, people, have an awesome day. And yeah, peace in.
Black comma, white comma, what's the color that you rockin' with? Where you at with it? Asking this. Black comma, white comma, what's the color that you rockin' with? Where you at with it? Asking this.